Why is the insect called the black soldier fly?
I have never heard of an actual answer to the world's plastic pollution.
There was time when our company was about to die.
Let me tell you something about farmers. And I'm not talking about Bangladeshi farmers, but farmers that I know in Italy as well. I think
How much revenue Ecovia has made so far?
this black soldier fly eats anything you give it to him.
Ecovia ভেঞ্চার ক্যাপিটালের সাইড থেকে খুবই ইউনিক দুটো স্টার্টআপ হচ্ছে ইকোভিয়া এবং গ্রিনসেক্ট। একদিকে 100% কম্পোস্টেবল প্যাকেজিং, যেটার মেইন মার্কেটটা এখনও পর্যন্ত ইউএস এবং ইউরোপে। অন্যদিকে ইউ হ্যাভ এতই র্যাডিক্যাল একটা স্টার্টআপ যেটা কাজ করছে পোকামাকড় নিয়ে, যেখান থেকে প্রোটিনসের সোর্স বের করা হচ্ছে ফর লেটস সে ফিল্ডস লাইক পোলট্রি ফিড। So we have two founders representing those two unique startups in this podcast. So এটা দেখলে আপনি খুব ভালোভাবে জানতে পারবেন আপনার খুবই ইউনিক একটা আইডিয়াকে কীভাবে আপনার আইডিয়া হিসেবে প্রোটেক্ট করে ইনভেস্টরদের কাছে পিচ করা যায়, এবং সেই পিচ থেকে ইউ ক্যান গ্রো ইউর জার্নি স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ, অ্যান্ড অলসো ইউ গেট টু ডাইভ ইন টু একটা ভেরি ইউনিক পার্সোনালিটি লাইক Ludovico Massari, who came to Bangladesh from Milan, and his entire journey as a founder in a very personal way. So watch this podcast because this is going to be different from the other ones, because আমি প্রতিদিন এই মানুষদের সাথে আসলে একই অফিস করি, and I know their thought process and I know them personally. So this episode is going to be a balance between both three people or three colleagues having a fun time, but also sharing tons of insights regarding how to nurture and bring into life extremely unique ideas. Happy watching. All right, so in life, you often, not very often, but sometimes you come across people who make you feel like you're not, number one, doing enough, two, you're not thinking crazy enough, three, you're not as talented, four, you're not adventurous enough, and then you rethink life and you try to see everything from a different perspective, and a lot of things change. So in this episode we have two guests who are people like that, and I'm fortunate to come across them. First of all, as you can see that we have a change in language. I'm trying to speak in English because the guy right beside me.
Amidukido.
Punchline. No, you don't have to be Dukhito Ludo. But so this is Ludo. He is one of the founders of Greensect. So we'll talk more about Greensect, but just know this, je পোকামাকড় নিয়েও এখন স্টার্টআপ হয়, like insects. That's a business. It's a business of insects, right? But yes, why this is crazy and why this is good, we'll get into that like right in a bit. But right beside Ludo, we have Rashik. So Rashik is one of the founders of Ecovia. And Ecovia হচ্ছে একটা 100% compostable packaging startup. So usually আমরা যে প্যাকেজিংগুলো ইউজ করি, like polythene bags or any sort of plastic bags. So Ecovia has come up with a bag যেটার source is garments এর wastage, and যেখান থেকে যে ব্যাগটা আমরা বানাতে পারি সেটা within 180 days মাটির সাথে পুরোপুরি মিশে যায়, and in a lot of ways মাটির জন্য একটা নিউট্রিয়েন্ট হিসেবেও কাজ করে, but it gives you the same sort of functionalities as a polythene or as a plastic bag. Or on the other hand, with the Greensect part that we talked about, যেখানে you have insects, যেটা is being farming insects, যেই ইনসেক্টসগুলা, it's called black soldier fly, যেটা serves as a protein source for ধরেন আপনার খামারের পশু পাখি and a lot of other practical applicable places. So hello guys.
Hello, guys.
Hi Rafsan. Always nice to see you.
Always nice to see me. Yeah, Ludo, where do you see me?
Where do I see you?
Yeah.
I see you in DIVC quite often.
Yeah. So that's another identity. As you know, this is China Business brought to you by DIVC. So Ecovia Venture Capital is the place where both of us work as well. We look after marketing for all the startups that we have. But Ludo is also a founder of one of the startups himself. And Ludo is from?
I'm from Italy.
Yes, he is an Italian guy. No, he often makes pizza and pasta, but not pizza.
I can
pasta.
cook a little.
Yeah,
Pasta, pizza. It's a bit of a hassle. But
yeah. But my first memory with Ludo is like the day he landed in Bangladesh. We brought pizza from a very famous pizza place in Bangladesh, and we gave him pizza. He had the pizza, and he went like, "This is good, but it's not pizza."
True. Definitely wasn't pizza. But it was okay.
Yeah. So this is me and Ludo. Also, we have Rashik. Rashik, we also have the same office space where the amazing team of Ecovia sits. Right. So, guys, this is a podcast where we will talk and discuss about business, and our audiences will take notes and learn, and whatever information you guys want to share. But Ludo is a very humorous guy. Like, he often even makes me feel like I don't know how to write or do stand up.
Don't say that.
Ludo, how do you like what's going on?
I love the space. This is really, really great work. I wonder where the furniture is from. It's very nice.
Oh, speaking of furnitures, thank you so much, Isho, for the furnitures and
I feel
making
like
this
I'm in
space.
Milan. I feel like I'm having this podcast in Milan,
Oh wow!
It's very nice vibes.
I think one of the owners will be really happy. I know. And of course, on the other hand, we have Rashik. So, first question, guys. How do you come up with such crazy ideas?
I'll let you answer that first.
I have to go back to my childhood because my co-founder is my cousin. So we used to share a lot of things with each other. Let's say আমি একটা ইনোভেশন করলাম বা কিছু চিন্তা করতেছি, আমি ওকে বলতাম যে দেখ আমি এটা করছি, আমি এরকম কিছু একটা চিন্তা করছি, তুই কী ভাবিস? ও তখন একটা কিছু বলতো, আমরা ওটাতে একটা আর্গুমেন্ট করতাম। তারপরে দেখা যেত কি দিন শেষে আর্গুমেন্ট সব কিছু শেষ করে আচ্ছা তুইও বাদ দে আমিও বাদ দে একসাথে করি চল কিছু একটা, এরকম হতো ছোটো থেকেই। তো আস্তে আস্তে যখন বড় হলাম বুঝলাম যে এই যে ছোটোখাটো ইনোভেশন আমরা ট্রাই আউট করি এগুলোর বিজনেস অ্যাপ্লিকেশন আছে। সো দিস ইজ ভ্যালুয়েবল। 2018 সালের দিকে তখন মূলত ইকোভিয়ার ফার্স্ট যে কনসেপ্টটা ওইটা আসে। আমি প্রচুর কম্পিটিশন করতাম আন্ডারগ্রেড লাইফে। একটা কম্পিটিশন ছিল, এটা হচ্ছে কার্বন ফুটপ্রিন্ট চ্যালেঞ্জ। তো ওখানে একটা আইডিয়া নিয়ে যাওয়ার লাগতো, অ্যান্ড আই ওয়াজ অলওয়েজ থিঙ্কিং অ্যাবাউট সামথিং গ্রিন। কারণ আমার বাংলাদেশের যে ওয়েদার এটাতে সমস্যা, আই হ্যাভ ডাস্ট অ্যালার্জি। আমি যখন বের হই আমার অনেক পেইন হয়। তো আমার সবসময় মনে হতো যে আমার শুধু পেইন যে হচ্ছে এরকম না, আর অনেক মানুষেরই পেইন হচ্ছে, অ্যান্ড এই পেইনটা কমানোর জন্য কিছু কি করা যায় কিনা। সো আই হ্যাভ অলওয়েজ থট অ্যাবাউট আইডিয়াস উইচ আর গ্রিন। ওইটা থেকেই মূলত কার্বন ফুটপ্রিন্ট চ্যালেঞ্জটা অনেক অ্যাট্রাক্ট করেছিল অ্যাজ এ কম্পিটিশন। আমরা ভাবছিলাম তখন ভাবলাম বাংলাদেশে এরকম কি আছে যেটা অন্যান্য দেশে নেই, হোয়াট ইজ আওয়ার ইউনিক রিসোর্স। একটা জিনিস ছিল সেটা হচ্ছে ফিশ স্কেল। আমাদের দেশ অনেক মাছ খাই আমরা, মাছে ভাতে বাঙালি। তো এই যে ফিশ স্কেলটা এটা ফেলে দেওয়া হয়, এটা কিন্তু অন্যান্য কিছু দেশে ইন্দোনেশিয়া ভিয়েতনামে এটা দিয়েও কিন্তু ইন্ডাস্ট্রিজ গড়ে উঠেছে। তো ভাবলাম দিস ইজ এ ইউনিক রিসোর্স, ওয়াই ডোন্ট উই ট্যাপ অন দিস। তারপরে ফিশ স্কেলে একটা ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্ট আছে কাইটিন, যেটা দিয়ে অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইউ ক্যান মেক গুড কোয়ালিটি পলিমার্স। তো আমরা এটা ট্রাই আউট করলাম, অ্যান্ড খুব কম সময়ে এটা একটা মার্কেট ভায়াবল প্রোডাক্ট তৈরি করি। আমরা কার্বন ফুটপ্রিন্ট চ্যালেঞ্জেও যাই, আরও অনেক কাজ করতে থাকি ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডে। বাট ওখান থেকে ফিডব্যাক আসে যে ভেগান মুভমেন্টটা বেড়ে চলেছে, অ্যান্ড লং টার্মে মেবি 2028 তারপরে গিয়ে এটা অনেক স্ট্রং হয়ে দাঁড়াবে, তখন হয়তো এই ধরনের আইডিয়া কাজ করবে না। তারপরে উই হ্যাড টু ড্রপ ইট সামহাও, কারণ একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ ছিল ফার্স্ট অফ অল ভেগান মুভমেন্ট উইচ কোয়েশ্চেন দ্য সাস্টেনেবিলিটি অফ দি আইডিয়া, অ্যান্ড সেকেন্ড ওয়ান ওয়াজ সাপ্লাই চেইন। কারণ বাংলাদেশে একটা সাপ্লাই চেইন বিল্ড যদি করতে চাই ফ্রম দি ভেরি স্ক্র্যাচ ইটস রিয়েলি টাফ, অ্যান্ড বিইং টু ইয়াং গাইজ at that point it was sort of impossible for us to sort the supply chain, so we had to drop this idea. But ওই যে প্রোডাক্টটা আমরা তৈরি করেছি পলিমার ব্যাগ, যেটা মাটিতে মিশে যায়, কম্পোস্টে পরিণত হয়ে যায় ফ্রম ফিশ স্কেল, এটা আমাদের কাছে আমাদের মনের মধ্যে রয়ে গিয়েছিল। সো উই আর লুকিং ফর অল্টারনেটিভ র ম্যাটেরিয়ালস যেটা দিয়ে আমরা সেম প্রোডাক্টটাই তৈরি করতে পারবো। আর রিয়াসাত টেক্সটাইল ইঞ্জিনিয়ার, তো অ্যাপারেল ফ্যাব্রিক্স এগুলো নিয়ে অনেক কাজ করে। তো ওর একটা রিসার্চ ছিল হচ্ছে ফেলে দেওয়া কাপড়ের যে টুকরো ওখান থেকে সে সেলুলোজ এক্সট্রাক্ট করতো। ইটস এ সিমিলার ইনোভেশন লাইক সোনালি ব্যাগ মোবারক স্যার যিনি করেছেন ওটার মতোই কিছুটা, বাট উই এক্সট্রাক্ট দিস সেলুলোজ ফ্রম ফ্যাব্রিক স্ক্র্যাপস অর টেক্সটাইল ওয়েস্ট। তো এটা দেখার পরে সেলুলোজ কিন্তু নেচারে পাওয়া সবচেয়ে অ্যাবান্ডেন্ট পলিমার, ইটস এ ন্যাচারাল পলিমার। আমরা যে পলিথিন ব্যবহার করি এটা কিন্তু সিনথেসাইজ করা ফসিল ফিউল থেকে, বাট আপনি যদি এখানে যে কোনো ফার্নিচার ভেঙে দেখেন ইউল সি স্মল পার্টিকলস অফ উড, এটা ফার্দার ব্রেকডাউন করলে ইউল গেট সেলুলোজ, এটা সব জায়গায় উপস্থিত। আমরা ভাবলাম যে নেচারের মোস্ট অ্যাবান্ডেন্ট একটা জিনিস এটাকে কেন পলিমারে কনভার্ট করা হচ্ছে না একটু মডিফাই করে, গিভিং ইট স্ট্রেংথ, গিভিং ইট ডাস্ট অ্যান্ড ময়েশ্চার ব্যারিয়ার। আমরা এটা নিয়ে কাজ করা শুরু করলাম, কিছু দূর কাজ অলরেডি হয়েছিল, সো একটা অ্যাডভান্টেজ পেয়েছি, ওটা নিয়ে ফার্দার পলিমারাইজেশনে কাজ শুরু করলাম। ইট ওয়াজ 2019 যখন আমরা ফার্স্ট একটা এমভিপি বলতে পারেন চলবে আর কি, মোটামুটি দেখানো যাবে ইনভেস্টরদেরকে যে হ্যাঁ দিস ইজ দ্য কনসেপ্ট, এরকম একটা ফিল্ম তৈরি করি। অ্যান্ড খুবই এক্সপেন্সিভ এই টেস্টগুলো সাধারণত হয়ে থাকে, এই যে টোটাল প্রসেসটা এক্সপেন্সিভ হয়ে থাকে, বাট উই ম্যানেজড ইট একটা ট্রে দিয়ে। আর এই ফিল্মটাকে আমরা যখন ট্রের উপরে দিলাম তারপর এটাকে কিউরিং করতে হয়, শুকাতে হয়, ওটার জন্য জাস্ট একটা ছোটো বাল্ব, এইটুকু দিয়ে উই টেস্টেড দিস আউট। অ্যান্ড খুব সফিস্টিকেটেড মেশিনারিজ ছিল না, বাসার মধ্যে ট্রে, লাইটের সেট আপ, খুবই নোংরা পরিবেশ দেখা যেত, এরকম বাসায় অনেক বকা খাইতাম বাপ মার কাছে। তো এইভাবে করে ইট ওয়াজ সাকসেসফুল। অ্যান্ড এরপরে অ্যাট দ্যাট মোমেন্ট আমরা সিরিয়াস হয়ে যাই যে এটা আমরা একটু কাজ করি, আরও অনেক কাজ করি, এটা নিয়ে হয়তো বা একটা ভালো বিজনেস দাঁড় করানো সম্ভব, বিকজ দিস ইজ ইউনিক, দিস ইজ অ্যান ইনোভেশন অ্যান্ড অলসো পেটেন্টেবল। আমরা আরও কাজ করতে থাকি, সোনালি ব্যাগকে তখন অনেক ফলো করতাম। তারপর যেটা হলো আর কি, দ্য গ্রেট চ্যালেঞ্জ, আমরা যেই মেথডে এটা তৈরি করছিলাম ইট ওয়াজ নট অ্যাকচুয়ালি বিজনেস ভায়াবল। ওটাতে আমরা ইনভেস্টমেন্টও পেতাম না, প্লাস আমাদের কাস্টমার্সরাও স্যাটিসফাইড থাকতো না উইথ দ্য প্রোডাক্ট। কারণ ওয়াটার বেসড একটা ফিল্ম যখন আপনি তৈরি করেন এটাতে আপনার হাতে একটু টান লাগলে ছিঁড়ে যেতে পারে, আপনি যদি এটার মধ্যে ওয়েট গ্রোসারিজ নেন ক্যারি করেন এটাও ছিঁড়ে যেতে পারে। তো আমরা ফার্দার যেটা করলাম, কনভেনশনাল মেথডে এই প্রোডাকশনটাকে যেন নিয়ে আসা যায় ওভাবে আমাদের রিসার্চ শুরু করলাম। তো করতে করতে উই আর সাকসেসফুল অ্যাট দি এন্ড অফ 2019। অ্যান্ড ততদিনে উইদাউট নোয়িং যে এই আমাদের টেকনোলজিটা কত দূর যাবে বা অ্যাকচুয়ালি ভায়াবল হবে কি না, আমরা কয়েকটা অ্যাক্সেলারেটর প্রোগ্রামেও এনরোল করে ফেলি। তো বাই দ্য টাইম আমরা বুঝতে পারি হ্যাঁ দিস ইজ সামথিং দ্যাট ইজ গোয়িং টু বি মার্কেট ভায়াবল, we are also the winners of those accelerator programs. So that's how it actually started. দুইজন কাজিনের এক্সাইটমেন্ট থেকেই বলতে পারেন, বাট একটা টাইমে আমরাও বড় হচ্ছিলাম, সো ইট গট সিরিয়াস উইথ আওয়ার এইজ, আওয়ার আইডিয়াস অলসো গট সিরিয়াস।
সো এইখানে আমার জন্য অনেক মানে ইম্পর্ট্যান্ট একটা পয়েন্ট যেটা সেটা হচ্ছে বাংলাদেশে প্রচুর বিবিএ স্টুডেন্টস আছে। Like you randomly talk to 5 university students, 3 of them will be saying that they study BBA, like business. It's probably the only subject that's common in every university, even all the private universities. So BBA student যেটা হয় যে কোনো সময় যে কোনো কম্পিটিশন হইলে, like there is a competition on any sort of like for marketing, for any like idea to change the world, there are lots of competitions like that. So all the students jump in with crazy ideas. They make some sort of a very like new innovative idea, but it's always just an idea. Like there's a nice presentation, but there's no prototype. And like yeah, and then often even the idea that wins an entire competition never comes to life. Like you have all the flashy like yeah, like we won the prize, we're even going to some other country, like you know, to do pitching and all that, but the idea never comes to life. So in Rashik's story, in the Ecovia story, however, the idea, like of course it came to life by now, but there were a very few like steps, like some important steps, which I think changed the game. Say for example, how there was an attempt to make a prototype like inside your own place. So যদি আমরা চিন্তা করে দেখি যেরকম বাপরে কী জানি বললো সেলুলোজ, তারপরে হচ্ছে গিয়ে ফার্স্টে মাছ থেকে এক্সট্র্যাক্ট করা হইতো, এন্ড দেন না মাছ থেকে এক্সট্র্যাক্ট করলে তো আসলে এটা পুরোপুরি সাস্টেনেবল হচ্ছে না, দেন লাইক লেটস গো ফর a source that will make the whole thing more sustainable. But পুরো জিনিসটা বাসার মধ্যে করা, I think that is where a magic happen, যেটা অনেক মানুষের জন্যই হয় না. সো লাইক ওই টাইমে যে নলেজগুলো দরকার ছিল, যে হাউ ইউ ক্যান মেক দিস ইনসাইড ইউর ওন প্লেস, where did you get those knowledge? What was your sources of information or like study?
ফার্স্টলি আমরা দুজনই নিজেরা অনেক এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করতাম, সো দ্য বেস ফর সায়েন্স কেমিস্ট্রি ওয়াজ স্ট্রং। আমরা অ্যাকচুয়ালি যেটা খাতায় লিখতে পারতাম ওইটা এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করেও দেখাতে পারতাম। সো দ্যাট ওয়াজ দ্য ফার্স্ট থিং যেটা আমাদেরকে হেল্প করছে। বাট ইয়েস, ফর অ্যাডভান্স রিসার্চ উই হ্যাড টু গো থ্রু এ লট অফ রিসার্চ পেপার্স, উই হ্যাড টু গো থ্রু এ লট অফ ইন্টারভিউজ। আমরা মানুষের ইন্টারভিউজ দেখতাম, তারা কীভাবে করলো এটা, তাদের প্রোটোটাইপিং জার্নিটা কীরকম ছিল। এছাড়া ওদের যে পাবলিশড পেপার, আমরা অনেক পেটেন্ট পড়েছি যেটা থেকে হয়তো বা আমরা কোনো রেজাল্ট পাইনি, বাট উই ইউজ টু রিড এ লট, যে আচ্ছা আমরা আজকে 10টা পড়বো, তুই এতগুলো পড়বি, আমি এতগুলো পড়বো, এরকম।
So reading is definitely not important, man. The research part of it,
Of
going
course,
through like
of course.
documents and patents.
অফকোর্স
Where do
There
you
is
get
a-
patents? Like, where can you read about it? Like, is there a website or how do you find those?
ইউ ক্যান জাস্ট সার্চ অন গুগল, যেগুলো অলরেডি পাবলিশড, ইউ ক্যান সি দোজ। মেবি নট ইন ডিটেলস, কারণ সবাই একদম ডিটেলসে এক্সপোজ করে না তাদের টেকনোলজি, বাট ইউল গেট দ্য সামারি যে
Right.
ওরা কী করেছে অ্যাজ
Right.
ইনভেনশন।
Awesome. And then I'll go to Ludo. So before we go to Greensect, I think it's like, so because Greensect and Ecovia both are DIVC startups, like startups in the portfolio of this venture capital. So why did you come to Dhaka?
That's a very good question. So I came the first time in 2023, last year.
Okay.
It was Protois, DIVC's founder, sister's wedding. I came here with all friends from university, of course. Crazy Bengali wedding, very different from the ones we have back home. But me and especially one other guy who turns out to be the third co-founder of Greensect,
You can just say Stefano's name.
Stefano. I can say his name now
Yeah.
because he quit his job, so
Yeah.
now I can, now I can say his name.
Okay.
But basically, when we came back from Bangladesh,
Yeah.
me and him, we thought, like, there's so much potential in Bangladesh. There is so much that does not exist yet here
Okay.
that people need and the country needs. And so every night we were like, after work, we met up, like, let's look at YouTube videos. Let's, scroll Instagram together. Let's see if we see something
Yeah.
that could work in Bangladesh.
Okay.
So after weeks of after work meetups at his place, watching some weird YouTube videos, because we went into some very crazy rabbit holes, we stumbled upon a video of this guy in Kenya rearing this black soldier fly.
Okay.
And this sparked our interest. We're like,
Okay.
why is this guy farming insects? We looked more into it. We saw that there's some really big players around the world. And we, in a fast way, we found out why. It's a very new kind of industry, but it has, huge potential. And so, at the same time, me and Protoi were talking with each other at least every day because of gaming. If it wasn't for gaming, I probably wouldn't be here, because we would play online every day and chat. And, talking about business is something that we used to do every day. And so we would talk about it. And one day I decided to quit my job. I was working at an advertising agency.
In Italy.
In Italy, yeah. I'm not going to go into the details of, why I left and everything, but Protoi gave me an opportunity to work with him in the IVC and at the same time come here and put all those words about insects into something tangible. And so I came and I met you first day. And apart from that, we started laying the first brick of the Greensect factory, and now we're up and running.
So you came to Bangladesh for a crazy Bangladeshi wedding, and you went back and you started thinking about ideas
Moving
to
here.
execute in Bangladesh. Such utopian like activities, like
I mean,
And-
you have to understand that we had a very big cultural shock. There's life here is in some ways similar, but in others very different.
but so a cultural shock can make you start a startup that deals with insects. So that's a crazy story.
So
Like from cultural shock to
yeah,
a startup on
yeah. So
black soldier flies.
I mean, first of all, we have to first understand what are we.
Hey, why is the insect called the black soldier fly?
Because it's black, it doesn't fight, so I don't know why it's called soldier.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a stinger. It doesn't even have a mouth.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't know. It's the
It's
guy who
called a
named it was feeling a bit,
Black soldier
creative.
fly.
It sounds.
It
good.
has a Wakanda feel to it.
Yeah, it sounds quite good. You know?
Yeah.
It rolls out the tongue very well.
So,
But-
ladies and gentlemen, this is Ludo, one of the founders of Greensect. As you have already understood, this is a startup that works with insects, insect farming. That is a source of protein that can be used in different ways, right? And on the other hand, we have Rashik.
Hello.
So Rashik is already a millionaire
No,
or billionaire.
not yet.
No?
No.
I thought you were.
ক্যাশ নাই ভাই
Cash.
রিক্সা
Right.
দিয়ে আসছি হাইটা বাসা যাবো
This is what like billionaires do sometimes. Like, but what is Rashik doing? So Rashik has a startup called Ecovia, right? So that is also one of the startups under DIVC, Ecovia Venture Capital, যেখান থেকে চাইন বিজনেস পুরো শোটা করা হচ্ছে। সো ইকোভিয়া কি করে? ইকোভিয়া হচ্ছে গার্মেন্টসের ওয়েস্টেজ থেকে ব্যাগ বানায়, যেটা দেখতে আপনার কাছে মনে হতে পারে প্লাস্টিক বা পলিথিনের মতো সিমিলার লাগতেছে, কিন্তু দিস ইজ নট প্লাস্টিক, দিস ইজ নট পলিথিন, বাট রাদার দিস ইজ সামথিং দ্যাট ইজ 100% কম্পোস্টেবল, যেটা 180 দিনের মধ্যে মাটির সাথে মিশে যায় এবং টু সাম এক্সটেন্ট একটা নিউট্রিয়েন্ট হয়ে যায়। সো ইটস অ্যাবসলিউটলি গ্রিন startup যেটা is contributing a lot towards sustainability. In fact, both the startups are contributing a lot towards sustainability. আজকের এপিসোড অনেক ডিফারেন্ট বিকজ all three of us sit in the same office. আমরা সেম অফিসে বসে বসে এই সব কিছু নিয়ে কাজ করি, and I have the honor of having these two millionaires, billionaires, and the. Do you know one thing? If I say that you guys are millionaires or billionaires, you're in trouble.
হ্যাঁ
I will not go into that. But yeah, they might be, they might not be. But don't you think by now Rashik should be a millionaire?
I think Ecovia is actually a great startup. It's
Okay, why do you think Ecovia is great?
because I have never heard of an actual answer to the world's plastic pollution.
Yeah, but
This is the first time I see something that can actually make a difference.
so let's say I know Rashik, like it's not cool to boast or like brag about how good the work that you are doing is. But if you had to share something crazy about Ecovia's success so far, let's say, like, because we sit in the same office, we take Ecovia for granted sometimes. Like, I think it's so
Yeah.
normal to us. Like, okay, this is one of the cool startups that we have. Like, no, it's gonna be like this. But yeah, like, be it in terms of numbers, be it in terms of a client, like something crazy that will make our audience, the Bangladeshi audience, understand that like this is also like something cool, because we care about numbers and like flashy figures a lot. So give us something like that, Rashik.
So firstly we do business in more than 10 countries and
More
that
than
is
10 countries.
increasing.
What are those countries?
European countries, basically the Nordic region. We have tapped into almost all the European countries, but not directly. We're directly connected with some like Germany, Italy, UK, and in the American region, we have great clients in America and also in the Asia.
সো যারা এতক্ষণ চিন্তা করছিল যে কি নিয়ে কথা বলতেছে এখানে, তো just একটু বুঝো যে এই স্টার্টআপ কিন্তু অলরেডি লাইক ইউরোপে চলে। সো নর্ডিক কান্ট্রিজ একটা কিছু ইউজ করে মানুষ, এটা কিন্তু সলিড জিনিস। অ্যান্ড দ্য মোর ইম্পর্টেন্ট পার্ট হিয়ার ইজ যে এই যে এনভায়রনমেন্ট নিয়ে যত কথাবার্তা হয় যে আরে আমরা সাস্টেনেবল হচ্ছে কিনা, গ্রিন হচ্ছে কিনা, আমাদের তো লাইক ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, গরম বাড়তেছে, অনেক রকমের ব্যাপার। সো ওইটা পলিসি পর্যন্ত পৌঁছাইতে এই পার্ট অফ দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড একটু টাইম লাগে, বাট ওই পার্ট অফ দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ডে অলরেডি অনেক রকমের দৌড়াদৌড়ি শুরু হয়ে গেছে, যেখানে পলিসিজ আর মোর অ্যান্ড মোর কনসার্নড অ্যাবাউট দ্য এনভায়রনমেন্ট। সো ওখানে আসলে ইকোভিয়ার মতো প্রোডাক্টের স্টার্টআপের দাম অনেক বেশি, অ্যান্ড দ্যাট ইজ ওয়্যার ইকোভিয়া ইজ like already existing, already present. And Bangladesh, we have a lot of brands who are now coming and collaborating with Ecovia to make their packaging sustainable, because আস্তে আস্তে this is probably going to be a must for everyone. লাইক যখন আরও বেশি আমরা ফিল করতে পারবো যে কেন পলিথিন ইউজ করা গ্যাঞ্জাম বা একটা প্লাস্টিকের ব্যাগ ইউজ করলাম ফালাই দিলাম, ওটা ঝামেলাটা কি, যখন গরম আরেকটু বাড়বে তখন আসলে আমরা আরও বেশি আই থিঙ্ক উইল বি মোর কেয়ারফুল। অ্যান্ড দেন ইকোভিয়া তখন বিলিয়নিয়ার মানে তখন আমরা আসলে এটা বলা লাগবে না, তখন তোমরা এমনি দেখলে বুঝতে পারবা। বাট ইয়া, such a crazy like time to be in that office, no?
Yeah, lot of things going on in that office for sure.
Lot of things going on.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, like all three of us, we went to this exhibition, like Gitex. We call it Gitex, right? Or Gitex, whatever you call it. So it was in Dubai, and like there was a stall for Ecovia, and like international people coming in and like showing their excitement. So, but you see, both of these people are very young, like Rashik and Ludo. You don't agree?
Yeah, I mean,
What is young to you?
let's say young, yes. Yeah, young is okay.
Young is okay.
Young is
Why do you not feel young? Like,
I mean, definitely to start a business, it's a very young age. But I see the people around me in this media studio, and I feel young. I mean, I feel old all of a sudden. But yeah.
Man, but you have already done so much in like this lifetime.
I mean,
No, like
Yeah.
you came to. So Ludo has a hard time explaining to people what is he doing in Dhaka.
Yeah.
Like
I
tell us more about it. Like what happens? Like
I
I've
struggle
seen
explaining it to myself as well. So
What?
I mean, as you just said,
What?
we work in the same office in
office.
DIVC.
Yeah.
So I take care of the marketing and branding
Okay.
together with a fantastic team.
Okay.
Ecovia was one of the first startups that I worked in DIVC. We took care of the branding and we're supporting their communication. So I know this is why I know Ecovia very well.
Yeah.
Because it's my client. It's
Yeah.
what I worked on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the reason why I'm here is because I started Greensect together with DIVC's chairman, Protoy, and Stefano.
I like the chairman. Like chairman.
Chairman Protoy.
Chairman Protha.
So my daily life is switching between two people, the managing director and co-founder of Greensect,
Yeah.
but also the head of marketing portfolio for DIVC, which is why I see you almost every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about Greensect in the sense that you were talking about how Ecovia is a revolutionary product here in Bangladesh. Greensect has a very similar way of starting in the sense that we saw that there is a problem. The problem is farmers, specifically in this region of the world, they struggle a lot. They struggle a lot because the price of corn, the price of soy, the price of raw materials that they need is increasing because of global warming, because of geopolitical tensions, and other reasons as well. And this is why we thought that there needs to be a solution for this in Bangladesh. And I'm going to give you a little fact that blew my mind. In Bangladesh, the average Bangladeshi wastes 83 kilos of food per year. This number might mean nothing to you, but that's more or less what an American wastes each year as well.
Okay.
The difference is 1/4 of Bangladeshis are food insecure, whereas US is a little bit better, I would say. But this is what I found crazy, that even though there's people that don't have access to food regularly, the daily Bangladeshi wastes 83 kilos of food per year. I don't want to point the finger at Bangladeshis, but I thought that this needs to be addressed.
For sure.
And this is why we came up with the solution. So I'm going to keep it very short. Basically, this insect, this black soldier fly, eats anything you give it to him. Literally, you put a dead animal, you put thousands of pieces of plants, vegetables. They eat through everything and would leave everything clean apart from bones. So what we do is we collect this food waste around a couple of tons of food waste per day. We process this food waste and we give it to this larva, these little worms. They eat it all, they grow in size, and then that's when we harvest them to create protein. At the same time, we obviously keep a little insects to become flies so that they can actually continue the cycle and lay eggs so that it all starts over again. So the good thing about this insect is that it has a very short lifespan. Around 3 weeks is when we harvest it. This means that there's a lot of turnover. This insect just keeps on reproducing whilst we rear the worms. It might sound like a very disgusting industry.
No, man, it sounds like a movie. Like, it sounds like one of those crazy scientists talking about something like that you don't understand, but you like look at it like, oh my god, now a superhero is gonna be like bitten by one of those flies and it becomes a black soldier and then Wakanda forever. Like, but then like the crazy part is like it's about insects. And so I have this question for both of you. Like, both of your ideas are very crazy, and it's not just ideas; they're full-fledged companies. Like, these are registered companies. They're startups. Both of them have invested a lot into their startups. Usually, when there's a very crazy idea, there's this thought of something very cool in the beginning, but there's also this thought like might just die one day, like the whole company. Do you guys have these thoughts? Like, do you still think your companies can die?
I mean, that's definitely... I mean, you never know what happens tomorrow. Say a typhoon hits Bangladesh. Hope not. Maybe our whole factory flies away.
Yeah.
Together with the flies. So it could be... It could be a problem. You never know what happens.
But do you have this thought like sometimes? So, except for a typhoon hitting Bangladesh, your company is not dying?
Inshallah not. But there's a lot of things that can happen. There's disease that the insects might catch, heat strokes.
So how many, like, what is the customer situation?
Our customers is basically farmers.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something about farmers. And I'm not talking about Bangladeshi farmers, but farmers that I know in Italy as well. I think farmers are the most noble class in civilization.
Yeah.
You often think of farmers as, uneducated people that just stay in the field and get food. But this is because you're used to just looking at the food on your table and you don't even know what went behind that plate of food you're eating, Farmers are what keeps civilization going. If it wasn't for farmers, what would we eat? Nobody knows. So farmers are a very particular group of people to work with, to sell products to. And whenever we make a decision, we always keep in mind that farmers, the struggling situation with farmers is the reason we started this at the beginning. They need alternatives. They need ways to make more money while giving us the food that we eat every day.
Damn. So how many customers do you have right now?
We just started.
Yeah.
We now we're not focusing on selling much just yet. We have one customer that is buying kilos of larvas from us every day. But we are now scaling up our production so that we can make around 1 ton of larvas per day. And we will transform this ton of larva into final packaged animal feed. So until we don't have this facility, we won't be looking into selling just yet. Now we're just selling all the extra larvas we're making as we scale up.
So what's your prediction like in next 5 or 6 months? What's going to be the number of like customers you have?
I wouldn't look at it much as number of customers because
in volume.
Yeah, in volume, because number of customers depends. There's some people that have maybe 1,000 chicken laying around, and then you have the industrial chicken breeders. But again, our objective is to make 1,000 tons of larva per day. This will be around a third of it if we dry them. So it will become 300 kilos of larva dried. And that will help us make again another ton of final packaged animal feed pack, obviously by adding other ingredients. And this is the volume we're looking at.
Yeah, so at this point of the podcast, I want all of you guys to make a prediction in the comment box. Like, what is going to be Greensect's future in next 6 months? Like you've heard on the founder's talk, there is a lot of potential in the idea, right? The idea seems crazy, but you can also argue, like, wait, this is not well tested yet. Like, is it going to sustain, or are the like chicken breeders really going to accept this product or not? And there are so many questions and everything. So this will be interesting to see, like your prediction for the next 6 months of Greensect, or maybe the 1 year, and the founders' thought, whether they align or not. And that will be something crazy to look at. But on the other hand, the other founder that we have, the founder of Ecovia, which is Rashik. Rashik, so is it a publicly disclosable like thing, like how much revenue Ecovia has made so far?
It's not a publicly disclosable thing, but yeah.
But can you give us a range?
Yeah, we're about to hit 1 million at the end of this year
1 million, like in
USD.
USD. See, I told you he's a millionaire. but damn, like $1 million selling packaging that is 100% sustainable from Bangladesh. So, does Ecovia have competitors?
Yes, we do. We do have international competitors. In Bangladesh, there are other companies who are doing similar products, but that's not through their own innovation. But we do have our own innovation, which is patented both in Bangladesh and also globally. So as global competitors, we have a few names. Tipa, which is from Israel. We have Danimer Scientific.
Oh, they've already lost then.
Yeah.
No, okay, sorry.
We do have Total Corbion and some very big names
Yeah.
on this list. So we're also planning to beat them in the international market. We're actually organizing our team, our production facility as per that objective that we have. And the good news is we're expanding our factory. We're building a new factory, which is going to be completely green.
So if I am, let's say, a devil's advocate or an audience of this particular episode who's really strict and really harsh and raw and like doesn't have any, optimism in life, I would be like, maybe the only substantial success that I see in both of you is both of you scored investment, like from, let's say, DIVC, Decosia Venture Capital, a good VC, a very comprehensive VC, right? So if we want to focus on that part, let's say a lot of people in Bangladesh have crazy ideas and they want to convert it into startups. Some of them have, some of them could not. A lot struggle with, let's say, convincing people to believe in their ideas, be it a partner, be it a VC. So I will ask both of you, what was the most important part in your pitch or in your offering to DIVC that worked?
I think in my case, the sustainability behind it is something that DIVC appreciates. A lot of DIVC's clients, startups under their portfolio, are either sustainable or touch sustainability somehow. The fact that we can convert food that ends up in ditches into new food for animals and therefore food for us, I think more than numbers, more than anything, that's what sparked the interest. And another thing, if we have to talk about money, it could be the cost. Insect farming requires way less space, water, electricity than any other kind of farming. 2 football fields of soybean can easily be replaced by a little shed that can vertically stack insects. Requires way less water, of course, because you're not growing plants. The fuel behind this is food waste. So it's, this is extremely cheesy, but Einstein once said, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. If we look at food as energy, you know, and then we think about the food that we waste every day, we throw in the bin, that food that we throw away is filled with energy. And this is not some psychological, metaphorical example I'm making. This is actually real. Inside food, there is energy that we eat and we can transform into movement. So that energy, even if you ditch it, you are wasting it, right? If you can somehow collect that energy and transform it into something new, which in our case right now it's animal feed, you are just recycling that energy into something else. So yeah, I think definitely the sustainability part and the low cost is something that the DIVC definitely liked.
For me, the case was different. It was more about the team and the innovation and sustainability, of course, that is liked by the DIVC owners and management. So I believe whatever idea that you have, you cannot execute it without a great team. So team is number one priority for us and the investors, because let's say if I have a great innovation but not a good team to execute that, why would someone bet on you millions of dollars, right? So that was the first thing that helped us get the investment. And secondly, what I would say is that our devotion to the concept, to the idea, and towards sustainability, because we never stopped. There was a lot of hurdles that we had to face in the beginning, in the early days of our startups, but we didn't stop. And our potential investors at that time was DIVC, and they were monitoring us closely. When they saw that, yeah, we're resilient, we can navigate through storms, then they have decided to invest on us. So I'd say it's a combination of the team, the resilience that it holds, the idea, innovation, everything. But what weighs more and what will be on the top is always the team and the concept.
So in both of your cases, what is, because like prototyping is important to prove ideas like this to any investor, like what's a smart way to do prototyping for ideas as such? Like for example, a student who has come up with a crazy idea doesn't know how to do the research, doesn't know how to do the prototyping, has some idea. So I think not everyone is going to be a subject matter expert, right? So what do you do when you have a crazy idea, but you don't know how to bring it to life or the first version to life?
I mean, obviously it depends on what product we're talking about. In my case, it's something very simple. I know people that farmed this kind of fly on their own balcony. Something that you can actually do at home.
Okay.
But obviously, setting up a factory is what changes everything, With the IBC's team behind it, I could actually materialize the vision.
Did you have a prototype? Like, did you work with a prototype, or was it done in Bangladesh?
I did not. It was in Bangladesh is the first worm that I can actually touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, there in agriculture it's very weird to have a prototype, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think if you do need a prototype, then I would start by thinking what does the investor care about? What does the investor want to see? I see nowadays in expos like GITEX, the one we were talking about, on the stands they put stuff just to catch the attention. I'll give you a very practical example. There was this startup there that I don't remember the name, that they made a hydrogen-based motor, which is an insane concept. But the only way they could attract people to their stand was putting a fake prototype sports car that could run with it. The car was fake, but everyone was taking the pictures of the car because the design was nice. So, you know, when you have sorry for these words, but a ugly product that people don't find fascinating by just looking at it, you have to resort to, you know, having your cheeky ways to
That's
catch
actually
your
a
attention.
crazy insight. Like when you can't really showcase the product, you showcase something that brings their attention, and then you tell them what you are trying to sell.
Yeah.
So
You can show some big chickens and some mascot of big worms as prototype.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But
some big.
I think, and this I think is both for Greensect and Ecovia. I think in our case, since we are very sustainable startups, the thing that would catch the most attention would be showing the problem. If you show landfills filled with food or plastic, knowing that, you know, it's not getting any better, and you tell them, look, I have the solution for this. I'm not going to show you anything. I'm just showing you the problem, and I'm telling you that I'm working into solving it. Then that catches a lot of attention as well. So it's not just about the product. It's also about the, you know, if you're a company that focuses on a specific problem, whether it has to do with society or the environment, then that can also catch a lot of attention.
So I'll ask Rashik, like, what is the difference in dealing with Bangladeshi clients and clients who are not from here?
A lot.
Okay.
When I deal with clients from overseas, they ask very specific question,
Okay.
and they seem to know about our technology a bit. So we don't have to explain them much.
First of all, if I try to know this, like for example, you work with a product that I'm guessing has more demand outside Bangladesh, right? So what was your process of finding those customers outside Bangladesh?
So there are a lot of processes.
Okay. What worked for Ecovia?
What worked for Ecovia is we reached out a lot of people in LinkedIn. That is one.
So,
Another-
LinkedIn does work.
Yeah, LinkedIn does work.
Okay.
This is one. Another one is
How do you reach out? Just inbox them?
Yeah, we inbox them, and obviously
How
we
did you
do-
set a target list?
We find relevant industries first,
Okay.
and then we find people from
Okay.
those companies, key people who are decision makers, and then we just inbox.
Can you give us a practical example, like a case study, like now let's say that person is a customer or a client, and how did you go through the research, or targeting?
All right. So, Blue Banana, which is one of our customers, it's a European company, fashion brand. So, one of the founders is added with me in LinkedIn, and I used to post a lot about Ecovia. So, that caught his attention.
Okay.
And after that, when he heard about our product, they were having their fashion garments manufactured in Bangladesh. So when they heard about Ecovia after that, they accepted because he saw it. So this is one that I even reached out, but that worked because he probably saw my post. He saw what Ecovia stands for. So that is one example. I have many. It works better in the case of Bangladeshi customers. Recently, we have started working with CP, and they operate locally, but they're basically originated from Thailand or Malaysia, from that region. But the people who takes charge of this Bangladeshi location, he's not a Bengali guy. So what worked is he saw some of our posts, some of our advertisement in Facebook, LinkedIn, and that ended up helped to make their decisions, and they converted by buying our products.
Damn. So one of the most important things to take note from here is, first of all, social media does work. Like LinkedIn being the more professional social platform, if you are connected to people who could be potentially your customers or clients, that helps, because now they're seeing your updates or seeing your posts on a regular basis. And then maybe when you make that pitch or they reach out, so that could be without LinkedIn or without that social platform, that probably wouldn't have happened. It'd be very difficult to reach particularly that person or getting his attention or her attention and letting him or her know about the product. But because of this platform, because of social media, and if you use it right, it could actually, I don't know, like get you $1 million like in a single deal. And that's actually crazy to know, because if I had a product like Ecovia, one of my biggest concerns would be how to find the right kind of clients and how to make the right kind of pitch. Because even if the client is at some other part of the world, even if I find that person, maybe he already has an alternative, or there's no way I'm going to get his attention. But that's the magic of social media, and I think you can never like underestimate it. And that's something that we're doing from DIVC to make sure that social media is done right for all the startups. And I love the magic of it. I love the content side of it, the game of it, and how it can lead to such stories, right? So that's amazing. But when it comes to Greensect,
it's a bit different.
you are not going to find
Not
them on social media.
fancy Instagram reels.
No, that's not going to work.
That's not gonna work.
What's the plan?
So the plan is, if I have to talk about social media for a second, if there is one that could work, it would be Facebook.
Okay.
Because Bangladesh has a very high usage of Facebook, and farmers have a lot of little communities and groups on Facebook. So Facebook is definitely the best choice. But if I have to be honest, I think the most powerful tool that we have in this field, so talking about farmers, is word of mouth.
I know this another way that in which we could promote Greensect. Like probably one of the most
Give
effective
me
ways
the idea.
like this is I should charge for this.
This is $1 million idea, yes.
Yeah. So there is a very famous TV personality called Shaikh Shiraj.
Yep.
So for years and years, for decades, he has been doing this show on Channel I, the same channel where I do my show, which is about farmers and their projects and their crazy ideas, and how they make like crores of Dhaka doing farming, doing agriculture. That show is just about agriculture, but he does it in such a good way. It's so interesting to watch that you will end up watching, let's say, cattle farming for hours. You'll end up watching how like you are cultivating lau, like kodu, like in different fields for hours. So that show is crazy. Imagine getting an episode on Greensect, and all the farmers around Bangladesh are watching, and just that one episode can get you thousands of clients, not just one or 10
if you're
or
seeing
100.
this,
I am sort of like, I know the guy.
I mean, you shared.
I know the guy.
You shared the channel. Yeah.
So I mean, I could just.
That sounds very good, actually.
Yeah, I'll charge for it.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Little commission here and there.
But man, crazy. Dude, that show is actually really good. Like, you should watch one of these episodes, and the way he does it. So there's this interesting story. Like, so he always wears one particular kind of an attire, right? So it's not really a suit, but it's also not just a full shirt. It's something in between. And you'd ask a question like, why does he wear this all the time? Or how did he make it, right? So the story went like this. Like, he has to talk to a lot of farmers, right? He has to go outside Dhaka and talk to a lot of farmers. So when he used to do that wearing like a full formal, like a full shirt, the farmers wouldn't really open up. The farmers would treat him like someone from the towns or from the urban areas, which I don't really want to talk to. So then he had to work with a tailor to come up with a costume that would be more approachable. And then he started wearing it on every episode.
Interesting.
And that worked.
Very interesting.
So this is just a bit about, and what he does is, so he has his own modification about how the show should look like in every occasion. Say, for example, when it's Eid, he does this another show that's not about their projects anymore, but rather that show is about making farmers come together like a festival and making them participate in crazy games.
Okay.
Like crazy games. Like, for example, like there's this, so let's say it's like a pond, right? And then there is this, like a structure made of bamboo, very slippery. So two
Oh,
farmers
okay.
would have to,
Fights.
so two farmers would have to come to the middle. They would have to sit on the bamboo structure. They'll have pillows, and now it's a pillow fight. Like whoever can, like make the other one like drop into the water, you win. Like a TV.
Very good idea.
Yeah.
You see, when you look at channels for marketing in this
Yeah.
field, TV is definitely a good choice because TV is
They watch TV.
It's something that farmers would watch. But when I said word of mouth, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning when I said that farmers are one of the most noble classes in society. Farmers are competitors between them, right? But from what I'm understanding, especially here in Bangladesh, is if one farmer finds a good solution for his farm, he will go tell the other farmers. Even
Oh.
if they're direct competitors, there's this union, there's this circle of farmers that, they help each other out
Yeah.
in dark times and in good times. So this is why word of mouth is definitely something that will help. But I'll take your TV idea.
That's gonna be something crazy.
That sounds very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I should get a percentage of the company for it, not just like. But you have seen founders like Rashik in Bangladesh, right? So now I'll tap into a different side of your brain right now. So you have seen founders like Rashik in Bangladesh, and you've also seen startup people in Italy. What's the difference? Because
isn't-
DIVC believes a lot in founders. Like
Yeah.
if you have a good founder, you might just have found like a good startup. Like
Yeah.
like DIVC invests in founders. So what would be like the fundamental differences you noticed?
If I have to be completely honest with
Yeah.
you, I don't see many differences.
Really?
There's good and bad founders
Okay. Everywhere.
in Italy,
Yeah.
in Europe,
Yeah.
but also here.
Yeah.
You have founders that the moment you give them a little bit of money, they splash it on new sofas for their office.
What?
It's just an example. And then you have other founders that, don't think about the money just yet. They just think about executing their plan. And they're very efficient and they're very work oriented. And you get this in both worlds. You get it here, you get it there, I wouldn't say there is a cultural difference, but if there had to be a cultural difference, Bangladeshi ones are more humble.
Really?
Yeah, it was something that I know it would shock you. This will make you think,
Yeah.
how are the European startup founders if the ones here are humble?
How are they?
Yeah, this is my 2 cents. I don't think I have met enough to be able to to give a complete study, but at the end of the day, they both share pros and cons. I've been extremely lucky here in Bangladesh. I think the reason I'm saying this is because I've only met the best.
Through DIVC.
I've met some insanely talented and work-oriented people over here that in Europe I hardly ever met. So, yeah, there's my answer.
I'll ask Rashik about this one thing. Because this show is about business, not just startups. Like I feel like everything is a business. So startup is a cool term,
course.
fancy term.
A lemonade stand is a
For-
business.
Yeah. Like a MacBook and like a coffee kind of a term, startup. Right. So, but if I treat you guys as businessmen, so you have invested in your own ideas, at some point, it will have a crazy valuation, right? And then if you sell it off, you make a lot of money. Like your life is set. That is how a lot of startups have their timeline or pathways. But till you reach that point, founders don't really make a lot of money, right? Like say for example, of course it varies from case to case, but usually what happens with crazy ideas like this, like you have to build it to a certain point and then it reaches a certain valuation. It takes years, decades, and then you sell it off and then your whole life is set. But till you reach that point, how do founders go about their finances? How do founders keep motivated? How do founders deal with the urge of buying a nice car, that your friend has like working for a nice little MNC and you don't have it. You have to wait for that, golden timeline. How do you deal with it?
So it was really tough back in 2019 and 20.
So it's not tough anymore.
It's not tough. It's easier. It's still tough.
Why?
It's easier.
Okay, yeah.
So let me
Yeah.
come through the story. So when it was 2019 and 2020, we used to burn a lot of cash in R&D. So we were bootstrapping. We're using our own funds. So it was tough for us to maintain friendship, maintain hangouts, etc. So times went like we were passing through BFC, we were passing through Takeout, Chilox. We were having that urge to go there and take a bite, but we're saving our money because we had to put some in the account so that we could do some R&D. So we had to save a lot of money, and that money came from tuition, a lot of other things that I used to do. I did a part-time job in 2018, and I used to do a lot of tuition and some other sort of works, doing assignments for people. So I had that wish back in that time, like my other friends, that I wish I could spend it like them on food, on fancy hangouts, but I had to control myself, and that was the same case with my co-founder as well. But now that our startup is doing better, we have launched commercially, we are having revenues, we are having some income. So days are better now, but I would say startup is something that is risky, of course. Anything can happen at any point of time, but we are extremely passionate about it, and we know how to navigate through these storms. Because maybe one day in 2030 or in 2035, a regulation can come up that can ban any sort of packaging. Like, it can happen.
Yeah.
You can deliver through drones where there will be very less use of packaging. So we'll have to pivot. In my dictionary, there is no dying. We'll have to keep it alive. As long as we are alive, we'll have to keep our startup alive by pivoting, by innovating new stuff. So that is something which is uncertain. And for the founders, I would suggest always have something in your account for the rainy days. Save up so that you have at least the saving to support your family and yourself for 6 months. That is the safe way to go ahead.
So one thing in your case is, let's say, which I've seen in a lot of students and people with ideas, that if you have a very unique idea, you also have the fear of not disclosing it or not getting it stolen by anyone else, right? So for example, this is why patents become important, right?
Yeah.
So how do you protect your idea when you are like in a very early stage, but you also have to pitch, you also have to go to a lot of different institutions, investors, but how do you protect it? How do you make sure that, so I believe execution is more important than ideas. So even if you have a crazy idea, the execution part is important, but it could happen. Like, so for example, in your case, how you came up with the formula, you don't want to disclose the formula. So how do you protect it? At the same time, you can pitch it to different investors.
We're really concerned about this until the end of 2019, because at that time we filed patent locally. Before that, we used to protect our ideas. We prevented it from going into national medias so that not many people knows about it. So for that, what we used to do is we used to tell people in summary that what we have done. This is made from that product, not in much details. After filing the initial patent, we had the liberty to disclose even more. And I also believe the same as you, that an idea is nothing without execution. So even though it's been more than 5 years, people are knowing what Ecovia does, but there is no similar innovation in the market and also globally. There's some which is close to our innovation, but not exactly the same.
I like the confidence in Rashik's face. Like when he talks, it's like, there's no one close to us. Like, I'm the boss. Like, I don't care. Like
No,
even
well-
like the way he sits also, like it's like this, like
It's chill.
No?
Yeah.
Don't you feel the same? No?
Yeah.
It's a comfy environment here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
On
might
the other
sleep.
hand,
I might take a nap.
yeah. On the other hand, Ludo, however, is like a bit different. Like you see his energy is like, okay, like I'm still new in the country and also in the startup scene.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's true. But I have a very different answer to the question you just asked. For Ecovia, obviously, you need to keep your patent secret. You have to keep your formula secret, no? In insect farming, I want people to get into this business. I don't want to keep it a secret.
Okay.
I want other people to see it, to see that it's possible, and I want them to do it. Because this, the supply of protein that farmers need in Bangladesh is so high, that we're just a drop in the ocean for now.
Ah.
So if other players come in, all that is going to come out of it is
An industry.
an industry. We need more players in order to build a market. We need people to know about insect farming. And the only way this can be achieved is either we go crazy and we take over Bangladesh with this insect, or we let other people in this market as well. So, of course, it's a very different product, if we had a formula, if we had the secret recipe to something, then of course I would keep it secret. But insect farming is insect farming. It's worms. You leave your box of cereal on the desk for too long, a bit long, and worms start appearing. It's the most natural thing in the world. If you think about it, in nature, that's what birds eat. They eat worms. It's literally real life. It's what happens in nature. When I first started doing this, one scene of a particular film that made me made me giggle a little bit is in The Lion King. You didn't expect this. No. But in The Lion King, I don't know how well you remember it, there's a scene with Timon and Pumbaa where I think the song is, I don't remember now, but anyways, it's one of the happy songs. And you see Timon raising a rock, and there's all these creepy crawlies coming out of it. And as a kid, when you look at that, it looked so delicious. It looked like Timon was eating candy, whereas it was worms, it was insects, So going back to the original discussion, it's just nature. It's as natural as it gets.
I agree on this, because when you're building your market, your competitor becomes your partner.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge market, you cannot build the market alone. Like, for example, when I saw that Sonali Bag is getting 100 crore investment from the government, I was really happy. It didn't, I wasn't seeing this from a competitor angle. Rather, I was seeing that, we are getting a partner in building the industry. And when government is getting involved in such initiatives, they're going to promote sustainability in packaging. So that came to us as a blessing, I would say. So when it comes to market building, I always prefer to be in touch with my competitors that we are still doing, so that we can build the market together.
So none of you are subject matter experts on your ideas that you worked on, right? So
Definitely
how do
not.
you navigate through this challenge? Like, you're not a subject matter expert, but you are a founder. You have to know everything, but you didn't really study on this.
Yeah, so I had a solid base of science till college.
Right.
And after in university, I had finance. So I chose finance because I know that I have a strong base in science that will help me do a lot of research and to guide people who will be working with me in future. And getting finance was a good decision, because now I know how companies work, how cash flows into the company, and how actually you can generate money. When we build something from the scratch, when we give ideas life, there are two things that we need to be very aware of. One is technological feasibility, another one is financial feasibility. Without these two, you cannot bring any idea into life. Really crucial. So, keeping that combination, I have my cousins as a co-founder, he had apparel engineering. So he had the subject knowledge. I had the knowledge to run the business, and also I had the knowledge about the technology that we are using. So I would say that it's a combination, and always to have someone who is a subject expert.
So in your story, I think that's a crucial learning or takeaway from this. Like, while choosing partners, we usually choose just a friend or a cousin or someone I know. But if you choose a partner who complements your skills, like you have something and that person brings in something on the table which you don't have, that probably makes a lot more sense rather than just building something with friends. But of course, compatibility is a huge issue as well. My last question to both of you would be I think the last before the last.
Oh, let me answer this one.
Yeah, sure.
So I come from a film, television,
Background,
and digital production degree, which has definitely nothing to do with insects.
Insights, yeah.
But what I learned in that degree and my job after that was working in an advertising agency. And this is the most important thing I've ever learned and I've ever put into practice, was thinking outside of the box. When you work in an advertising agency and you need to come up with a line, your mind needs to go to places that sometimes you don't even want to go. But you have to think outside of the box. And when you start a business, even if you don't have academic background into that subject, you can always have a partner or someone that can fill that in, as we said before. But I think something that is crucial in business is thinking outside of the box. I know it might sound cliche, but I'll give you some practical examples. Say something happens in the business. Your product is not bought by anyone. A competitor eats all of your market up. If you can think outside of the box, you can always turn it around. Regardless of what you do, what's your product, what's your industry, if you can think outside of the box, you can overturn anything. And I really stick to this.
I solely believe that it's our passion, not the classroom knowledge. Because you may exist in a classroom, but your mind may roam around in some other
Rashik
places.
is quite philosophical sometimes. Like, I like that. Like, the confidence plus the philosophy makes him someone really interesting. But at this point of the podcast, I want all of you guys, like, of course, I told you guys to take notes, right? So I want all of you guys to copy and paste those notes in the comment section. I want to see who has taken the most comprehensive note, and I will choose one person, and you will get something crazy from DIVC. And also, if you are one of those kind of a founder, like them, who has a crazy idea, maybe a prototype as well, and you want to share the idea or take it to the next level through investment, so you can definitely approach DIVC. So, like, write something in the comment section or reach out to us through an email or inboxes in any of the social media profiles. We might give you a chance to pitch, and that could be the starting of another great story like these founders. So quickly, if you guys can mention the best book that you have read and that helped you as a founder a lot, the best app that you use every day that helps your daily function as a founder or like makes things easier or more efficient for you, and the best advice that really helped you in your journey.
Damn, this threw me off guard. So if there's a book that definitely made me realize how precious the world we live in is the blue economy.
Okay.
This is something that gives you a completely new perspective on what is around us, and how we can turn it into something even better.
Yeah.
Have to be extremely concise. In terms of apps, damn, this is a tough one. I mean, for insect farming, that helps.
Doesn't have to be insect farming. Like an app that makes your daily life or like your daily functions more efficient. Something probably a bit uncommon.
Can I be completely honest with you?
Yeah.
The calculator app.
The calculator app?
Yeah. You know when you used to say in school, why can't I use a calculator? I have one in my pocket every day. This became concrete. If I have to make having a calculator in your pocket is something that people underestimate a lot.
Damn.
Might not be a crazy app, but yeah, that's.
Do you make a lot of like? I'm sure you
Sometimes
make
I
a lot.
do. You know, when you work in something
Like what
with
sort
very
of
high.
calculations are doing in your calculator?
I mean, like
How much money I'm gonna have in my
It's
bank
not. It's
account
not. It's
in,
not
like,
just
1 year?
money. So insect
How much
farming,
money is required for a wedding in Bangladesh?
yeah, that too.
How much money you need to spend on a date?
But yeah, that too. But you know, like insect farming is something very numerical. It's all about numbers. It's all about volume. It's all about
That.
how can I turn this number
Economies
into
of
that
scale.
number. Yeah.
Ah.
So when you know have to deal with these numbers, and maybe you have an idea that like, oh, maybe I can half that, maybe I can double that. You're like, oh, let me say that.
Ah.
You know. So when people think I'm texting, I'm just doing very simple calculations on my calculator.
Yeah, I believe you. And the best advice. The last question was the best advice.
I think the best advice I can give is to travel. Travel the world, see new places, see new cultures, meet new people. I know, again, I might sound very cliche, but this is actually true. You know, when you get in touch with a new culture, your brain, parts of your brain just glow up. Some parts of your brain that you didn't even think you had. You learn so much, and that makes your little machine in your head activate.
I think I should also make you recommend 3 good movies, like, because you
Mhm.
have seen a lot of good movies.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get a lot of recommendations from him. So yeah, 3 good movies, man.
My 2 favorite movies, and I don't know which one's first or second, are Apocalypse Now
Yeah.
by Coppola, and the other one is 2001 Space Odyssey
Okay.
by Kubrick. So these are 2 films that a lot of people would fall asleep watching them, but if you're someone like me that gives attention to details and try to, you know, understand what is the filmmaker actually trying to communicate, those are insane films. And 2001 Space Odyssey is one of the most futuristic films that I've ever seen. It was shot before the 70s. It was before Star Wars. It was before all of these sci-fi films. And you would see things that actually happen today. For example, they had AI, you know, and it touched on the ethical and dangers of AI almost 100 years before AI actually came into life. So, yeah, that's definitely a good movie. I recommend to watch.
Some very good recommendations from Ludo. Moving on to Rashik.
So for me, I was really entrepreneurial from my childhood. I have always wanted to do a business, not a job. And I used to tell my family that I'm going to do a business, I'm going to innovate something that will help me build a business. So from the very beginning, I used to hear from my family that business is risky, don't go for it. And when I grew up, when I went to college, my faculties used to say the same thing. When I went to universities, my batchmates, faculties used to tell the same thing. And one thing is that I used to do a lot of business competition. So I knew a lot of professionals from the very beginning of my university life. And I knew good people who were offering me good jobs even before I passed university. But I'm always someone who loves to play against the stream. So for that, a book that really helped me to avoid those comments that I consider as noise so that I can stay focused on my journey, which is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. So that helped me big time to avoid those negative comments. I love criticism. I see this as a gold mine, but in the crowd of criticism, you'll need to figure out some negative comments that are straight line negativity. There is nothing constructive about it. So that is one book that helped me. And about the app, I currently use ChatGPT and Gemini as my go-to app because it helps me big time It saves my time doing random replies or comments that is necessary. It takes a lot of time to draft those, but when you can um, have the access to AI, you can easily do those. And also for calculations, also doing great maths, you can just give them problems that, yeah, these are the metrics, I have this problem, solve this for me. They'll solve it for you. So that's really helpful and it saves a lot of my time. And the best advice that I got in my life was from an elder friend with whom I used to run in Dhanmondi Lake back in 2015 and 16. So that old guy told me to see the life in a 5 to 10 years time span. Because we think about today, we think about tomorrow. We think about why do not I have a BMW 7 Series? I should have one by the next year. We sometimes think about these things like that, which is unhealthy because which will trigger you to do something that you really do not want to, that will always make you feel something that you are in a rush, you have to do things really early. But when you think the life of at least 5 years of timeline, you can imagine where you want to go after 5 years. In that way, your mind becomes calm. You can stay calm, you can stay focused on your work, and you can really concentrate on what you are doing. And I believe that advice really helped me because there was time when our company was about to die, but we have to keep it alive with all the forces that we have. So that time was really crucial in our journey. But I thought, what is going to happen after 5 years? Maybe today or tomorrow, I'm earning nothing or I'm earning really less. My friends are getting good cars, they're getting married, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on what is going to be happen after 5 years. So that is something I would say the best advice of my life.
Yeah. I'm not even thinking about the next 5 years. I'm thinking about maybe 20 years from now when these people take over the world with their startups and they actually become millionaires, billionaires, or whatever. Then the value of this podcast is going to skyrocket. And I'm going to people will, oh, they had a podcast 20 years back. Look at that.
All of it was because of your idea
Yeah.
of putting it on TV with that.
Man. And then
post.
people will be like, Ludo had hair. And Rashik used to wear just a white shirt. Look at them now.
Rafsan bhai, BMW কবে কিনবেন?
On that note, goodbye. See you in some other episode. Bye bye.